Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something really serious, a silent crisis that's highlighted in a brand new report from the International Labor Organization. We're talking about the mortal cost of our jobs. Now, this is an absolutely critical topic, especially for your GS paper 2, and we're going to connect all the dots for you today. So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with a grave reality. Then we'll decode what these psychosocial risks actually are. After that, and this is the important part for you, we'll link it directly to GS Paper 2. Finally, we'll look at the path forward and wrap up with a sharp focus on how you can use all of this for your mains and interview.
Okay, let's get right into it. Section 1, a grave global reality. This is all about the shocking findings from that new ILO report. Just look at this number on your screen. 8,40,000. Let that sink in. That's the number of people who die every single year from health problems tied to things like immense job stress, long hours, and job insecurity. You know, this isn't just a number on a page. It's a full-blown global health crisis, and it's being fueled by what we're now calling toxic workplaces. And the ILO report itself puts it very starkly. It calls these risks a major and growing threat. Now, the key takeaway for you here is that this isn't just about an individual's health. The report makes a direct line, a connection, to organizational productivity and even the entire economy. And that multidimensional angle, that's a really powerful point you can make in your mains answers. Right, and when you add up all these individual tragedies, the socioeconomic cost is just massive. The report talks about 45 million DALs lost every year. Now, what's a DAL? It's a disability-adjusted life year, which basically means one lost year of healthy life. And on the economic front, we're talking about a loss of 1.37% of the entire global GDP every single year. I mean, the sheer scale of that loss really hammers home why we need to act, and act now. Okay, so now that we've seen the scale of the problem, we really need to understand what's causing it. So in this next section, we're going to decode what these psychosocial risks actually are. What are the core stressors in the workplace that the ILO is pointing to? All right, for your exam, having a crisp, clear definition is absolutely crucial. So what are psychosocial risks? They are work-related risks primarily associated with things like cardiovascular diseases and mental disorders, which can even very tragically include suicide. And the key thing is they stem from the psychosocial working environment. I'd say make a note of this definition. It's precise, it's comprehensive, and it's perfect for framing your arguments. So where does that huge number, over 8,40,000 deaths, come from? Well, the ILO bases its estimate on these 5 major risk factors. You have job strain, effort-reward imbalance, that feeling of putting in so much and getting so little back, job insecurity, long working hours, and of course, workplace bullying and harassment. And believe me, this is not just some theory. The report is packed with hard data. Just take a look at this global snapshot. A massive 35% of workers, that's more than a third, work over 48 hours a week. That's a direct link to that long working hours risk factor. Then you have 23% who've experienced some form of violence or harassment. And if you look closer, psychological violence is the most common type, affecting 18% of workers. Now, these are the kinds of stats that will really help you strengthen your arguments in the mains exam. All right, now let's get to what is probably the most critical part for your preparation. How exactly does this link to GS Paper 2? You might be wondering, why should I, as a UPSC aspirant, care so much about this report? Well, this section is going to connect all those dots and show you precisely how this information can help you score higher. Take a look at this table. What's so useful here is just how neatly this topic fits into your syllabus. Let's break it down. When you see a topic like issues relating to health and human resources, you can immediately talk about the direct impact of work culture on public health and productivity. Or what about welfare of vulnerable sections? Well, here you can frame workers as a vulnerable group. And for mechanisms and laws, this report gives you the perfect ammunition to question whether our current labor laws and mental health policies are actually doing enough. You see, you can use the data we've discussed to add real substance to your answers in all these areas. So, we've understood the problem, and we've seen how relevant it is for your exam. The big question now is, what's the way forward? This next section is all about that, the path to well-being. We'll be looking at the policy framework that the ILO suggests, and this is where you'll find those crucial solution points for your answers. And what's great is that the report doesn't just leave us with the problem. It gives us a very clear, solution-oriented, three-pronged approach. First, you have government action. We need strong policies and regulations. Second, there's industry responsibility. Companies themselves need to put preventative strategies in place. And third, workforce empowerment. Workers need to be empowered through things like unions and participation. See that structure? Government, industry, and workers? It's a perfect framework you can use for writing a mains answer about policy recommendations.
Okay, let's wrap this up by bringing everything together. This final section is all about application. How do you take all this knowledge and use it effectively in the exam hall? We're talking both for your means paper and, of course, the personality test.
So here's a very realistic means question you could get in GS2. Critically analyze the impact of psychosocial risks in the workplace on India's demographic dividend. Suggest a multi-pronged policy framework to address this challenge. Now, always look for the keywords. Here we have critically analyze, demographic dividend, and multi-pronged framework. So how would you tackle this? You'd use the ILO data to show how these risks are harming our youth's health and productivity, which hurts our demographic dividend. And then for the solution, you'd use that exact three-pronged framework we just talked about. See how it all fits together? And finally, let's think about the personality test, the interview. They could ask you something very direct, like, as a future administrator, what institutional changes would you prioritize to foster a healthier work environment within the civil services themselves? Now, this kind of question is really testing your practical thinking, your self-awareness. It brings the issue right home, from a global problem to your own future role. It's a really important question to think about. What does a healthy, productive workplace actually look like? And how will you, as a future civil servant, help to build it?